message real quick because I think it's a very important one. I want to make sure I get everything absolutely straight here. That I want there to be absolutely no misunderstandings, because some of the things that he said before, he was given wrong information and had to clarify it. So here we go, guys. I wanted to write this to clarify a few things regarding May 2, 2025 and my involvement in the search efforts that followed. On May 2025, I left my home in Westville at approximately 10:10 a.m. I know this because my fiancée was home on her work break, which runs from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. At the time, I was loading my truck to go fishing at Gaylock Lake. Now we know. I'm going to show you on a map in a minute. We spoke briefly before I left. Gaylock Lake is approximately a 12 to 15-minute drive from my home. As I was arriving at the lake, I heard a vulnerable person's broadcast regarding 2 missing children in Lansdowne. At roughly the same time, I observed a helicopter conducting what appeared to be in search pattern clover, leaving the area. Given my military background, it was immediately apparent to me that an active search operation was underway. Rather than continue with my fishing plans, I decided to drive through the area to see if I could assist by keeping an eye out for the children. As I said, the accidental witness. For context, I am not a neighbor, family friend of either party, a member of PBMH, or affiliated with any official search organization. However, I served approximately 10 years in the Canadian Armed Forces as a combat engineer. Search operations were a significant part of my training and experience. Throughout my military service, I participated in numerous searches involving personnel, explosives, weapons, and other objectives. I have also assisted the RCMP in the past in 3 other searches for missing persons. As I traveled through the area, I observed give me a second, I want to make sure the wait. Okay, here we go. As I traveled through the area, I observed a bright pink child's t-shirt hanging in a tree near Earl Martell's property. By the way, he didn't see any pink blanket. A 4-wheeling trail just past his home on the right-hand side that goes way up the hill. So that would be the pipeline, right? And here and near the pipeline, near the pipeline area on Lansdowne Road. To be clear, this was on Lansdowne Road, not Lansdowne Station Road. What stood out to me was the condition of the shirt. It appeared clean and was not muddy, wet, or dirty, despite the weather and ground conditions. I also did not observe children's footprints beneath it or any obvious trail leading to or from the location. I also observed Emily emerge from a wooded area at a rapid pace. She was not casually walking. She came out of the woods quickly, moved through the ditch, and entered the rear seat of a vehicle. My attention was primarily focused on Alvin MacKenzie, who was nearby. My interaction with Alvin was brief. After leaving that area and traveling toward where the helicopter had landed, I later observed the same dark wine-colored 4-door vehicle parked along the roadside, the same one that Cindy traded in a few days later. As I approached, Emily appeared interested in speaking. I pulled alongside the vehicle and rolled down my window. She asked whether I was police, which was the same question Alvin had asked earlier. I wished them luck and continued on my way. Shortly afterward, I observed the vehicle turn right onto Stuyak Road and headed seemingly back towards Truro. I also took note of how both Emily and Alvin were dressed. Emily was wearing jeans, running shoes, and a tank top with thin shoulder straps. Alvin was wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Anyone present that day knows the weather was damp, cold, and muddy. Their clothing stood out to me because it did not appear consistent with what most searchers were wearing under these conditions, or any experienced searcher or woodsman for that matter. This was a rapid response, last minute, to add in the cover-up and plant evidence from both families. Both of the families work together, people. That's why nobody's talking. After orienting myself in the area and speaking with law enforcement, I returned home to collect additional equipment, including rain gear and my ATV. I then returned and participated in search efforts that ultimately continued for several months, extending into November. Well, yes and no. Following the initial days of searching, I expanded my effort beyond the immediate search area and followed up on numerous tips provided by members of the public. These included locations such as Lairg Cemetery Road, the Lairg Road area near Gaylord Brook Forest, and several other sites brought to my attention. Throughout this period, I maintained communication with members of NEN MCU regarding information and observations that I believed were relevant. While I am not a police officer and do not work in law enforcement, we share the same objectives, finding answers regarding what happened to these children. Based on my observation today, I developed concerns regarding the circumstances surrounding the pink shirt and the behavior of certain individuals present in the area. Those concerns were reported to police as part of my statement. I recognize that others may disagree with my conclusion. However, everything I have consistently reported is based on what I personally observed May 2, 2025. My interest has always remained the same, helping locate the children and assisting in any way possible. I understand over time the story develops and changes to it, spreading rapidly online as things always do. Unless this comes from me directly, do not listen. There are folks out there intentionally putting their spin on things. Likewise, some information has come to me in time. For example, the name Jenna Jodry. This was an honest mistake. Way back in May, Jenna was not who I seen. It was Emily. So I want to clear this up. They do have similarities, but photos side by side, which took months. Emily is the young lady. The public can draw its own conclusions. My responsibility has simply been to provide an honest and accurate account of what I witnessed. I also want to address a separate matter. I trust you, AB. Okay, this was to AB, and I do not mind if you read this publicly or discuss portions of it on your show. However, I am genuinely concerned about the safety of my family. Guys, this is very important, okay, because people are harassing him still. I have received death threats and numerous anonymous messages. My fiancé has been doxxed, and these are the same people that threaten Anita, by the way. My fiancé has been doxxed, as have her two underage children. Why anyone would target people who have simply tried to help is difficult for me to understand. For that reason, I would appreciate it if any request for my email, phone number, person from immediate. Yeah, we don't give out anything here. Earlier today, I had a conversation with MCU regarding comments and information being circulated about me by T-Bag, Shenanigans, Daniel, and Ninchi. They were not impressed with what was being discussed or shared publicly. Yeah. I also want to make something absolutely clear on the, God, I never read that much. I also want to make something absolutely clear to the social media crowd. I am not Daleen and I am not Crissy Travers. I have never met either of them. Yes, I have spoken with them. Oh, I know. And we have corresponded regarding aspects of this case and shared information. However, we have all gone our separate ways and pursued our own paths. Thank God for that, Brandon.
Justin.
Personally,
okay.
I have no issue with either of them. Yeah, you would have issues with them if you knew what, unfortunately, I had to learn. I have no issues with either of them, despite the amount of criticism and speculation directed towards them online. I believe they are they're not well-intentioned. Unfortunately, there are people involved. Okay, so you got it, people. I work for no one but myself. And you see, he clarifies also that there was no pink blanket in that spot. Absolutely none. And later, that's where they said a pink blanket was found, right? So my question is, did police actually find that pink shirt there? I don't know. But maybe they figured, let's put a blanket on there later. I don't know. But again, these are people who are not.
So it's worth noting, y'all. Brandon's making the distinction that he doesn't know anything about a pink blanket in his experience and that's suspect. You know, it didn't come up till much later, and then this pink blanket thing took off. What was Brandon witnessing down there?
Not really operating with a full deck, in my opinion. And here's a map that he sent me also that is pretty damn good. and I may play something from found, right? So my question is, did police actually find that pink shirt there? I don't know. But maybe they figured, let's put a blanket on there later. I don't know. But again, these are people who are not really operating with a full deck, in my opinion. And here's a map that he sent me also.
That were small, walking around like ants. It used to be a thing in daycare. We'd go and collect all of those big carpenter ants and collect them. You learn some lessons with insects and bugs. Oh, cool bug. Remember how cool and how it really drives a child's imagination. It's like anything is possible. Monsters are real in that sense. Look at these fucking things. I'm not sure if they're using the F-bomb like I am, but you know where I'm going with that. Check my email. We've got a communication. We've got a communication coming through. Oh, hold on. I'll get off my screen. Thank God there wasn't anything sensitive in there. I'm just kidding you. I will. Hold on. Let me go back and read that first. Oh my God. People are going to be on the edges of their seats. I'll read it. Hold on. Let me see here. I'll put that up. Let me see. Brandon sends Daniel Martell, talking bullshit about you. I wasn't going to share this, says Brandon, but at some point people have to ask themselves why this degenerate inbred hillbilly is so obsessed with attacking me, Brandon says. To be clear, I have never used Facebook dating in my life. I've never spoken to Malaya, and I never would. It's nasty. Oh, fuck. Oh, we all want your girl, Danny. We want Malaya bad. Get in line, boys. She is hot stuff. Oh, fuck. Holy fuck. She's got a history, boys. She needs a fucking psychologist, a psychiatrist. And Nurse Ratchet. Yeah, we're expected to believe a story that supposedly took place over 3 years ago, a time when I was busy caring for my partner and as they battled cancer. The fact that someone would invent or repeat nonsense like this says far more about their character than it does about mine. And Daniel, Janie, go get your son Daniel. You're probably swinging in the yard out in front of the chickens right now with that moppy looking hairdo. You know, you get it that flat from not washing it. That's cool. It's your natural oils. You're like a Rasta. Ask Daniel, explain something to Brandon. Why would I have been a topic of discussion 3 years ago? You stupid dunce. The more you talk, the more your story falls apart. Every attempt to attack me only creates more contradictions, more questions, and more evidence for the people to examine. Yeah, it's like his last meal. He chose a buffet, all you can eat. A smorgasbord of bullshit. This moron keeps digging himself deeper with every post, every comment, and every accusation. Oh yeah, we've been watching. At this point, it's obvious he's triggered by me and can't get help himself. You probably just want his girl. The difference between us is simple. I don't need to invent stories. I keep receipts. MCU already has this along with other material. To my understanding, you've been warned before, Danny boy, not just by me, but by law enforcement as well. Yet here you are, continuing to put your own words and actions on display for everyone to see. Yeah, he's a sideshow.
But here's the pipeline connecting to Daniels. And let me see. Ron MacKenzie is over there. Ron, Earl. Pipeline right here. Pipeline area. Right? Because these are the power lines, I think, right?
Just so beautiful. I can't help myself.
These are power lines, and this is the pipeline, I think.
Girl, let me give you my number.
Second pink shirt with baseball collected by MCU. That was Lairg Road. Wow, that's interesting. Because there was that house that burned down, right? I'm going to look at this in a minute here, because I think this is Lairg Road. And a second pink shirt was found there. Diaper dump collected by MCU. Does any of you know about what he's referring to? Anybody? Please bring it. Diaper dump. Let me look at some of your comments here in a minute. But Lairg Road, I believe the house that burned down was right here, right in the area. I looked it up. You gave me the address before, Anita, and I looked it up. So that's interesting also.
So you need to step back a little bit and realize that before a ridiculous argument that's going to divide people starts, you're going to have to want to define what starving means. What does that mean to that person who was saying it? You know what thinking about it in your mind means. What it really indicates is that the kids weren't being minded as they should. Now, if the giveaways have always been there because of their statements to police early on, none of it for those 3 days that they were off, which should be filled with at least 3 meals a day and fantastic food, never was. They were dragged around pointlessly all day. Why did you even go into the Walmart on Wednesday? What were you guys even fucking doing? You don't have much of a family life when you're driving around doing dumb shit, not really doing anything. Like, you never sat down, had an interaction at any one point during the day for a meal during those days. No mention of it. Just, stopping at the drive-thru and things. That stood out as a bit of a problem. Starving can mean all kinds of things. But the kids weren't getting enough. There's concern about that. Now, what does it mean to Wayne when he says it? What does he mean exactly? Gonna have to ask him. He doesn't seem to really want to expand. It's just an accusation from him. Does he see them all the time? How would he know? It tells me that there's already talk amongst the family behind the scenes already, right? And that expands across both families into Cindy and Wade through the conversation at that Tint took. That's right, fishing in a boat. And it stretches into that starving. I think it's an easy thing to get carried away with, but wait a second, because everything in this case is shocking. It's not saying that that it's being told to us through family members and even Anita. Anita talks about that specifically. It's just corroborating what Anita's saying. Wayne. But to what extent? Like, we're not going to have the benefit of ever finding that out. Well, not necessarily the cops know. There's a reason why Meadow isn't going back into their care in that sense. Now, the bare minimum standard of care wasn't being met, and that included sustenance, food. And you can see it just in their conversations to police that day. Their schedules were different. He wants you to believe it was just a normal every day. Bullshit. The kids weren't even in school. This was an abnormal day, an abnormal 3 days. He being Danny. Oh, Danny
Harvey
boy.
MacKenzie, not search. This is where Harvey MacKenzie. And now here we go. Wait. This is the bridge where the garbage bags were. And I brought this a few months ago because somebody sent me the information here. The bridge where the garbage bags were. This is the middle river of Pictou. I forgot, what time was it that the car was heard going to the middle river of Pictou? So it's there. I believe that's where some evidence was dumped into that river. Let me see if there's anything else that I need to focus on. Wine-colored car with Emily on side of the road right here. Anyways, I'm going to look at the chat right now.
So
Anita.
It's not to be overlooked. It's just, I guess my stupid fucking point was, don't fight over the term starving as to what that means as a distraction to the greater problem at hand here. It's just one of the many problems that comes from the same thing. It's just shocking when